Holmes, and we just got Gerry Cooney out of jail so that he can do this. And we're going to do it right because we're going to score another knockout.
No, I have to take them off, let them come in. They're all.
Okay, for those of you joining us, give a couple more minutes. We'll get everybody in.
Yeah.
Looks like we have some people coming in.
We got some people coming in.
Yep.
And thank you for all of you guys joining. My name by introduction is Walter, and this is Pat from Bookends in Ridgewood. Thank you guys and gals for joining us tonight. We have a great show to present to you. We have Larry Holmes and Gerry Cooney, and some of you may have already received your books. They were kind enough to sign books, and my manager Dave mailed them out the last couple of days. So maybe you've already read the chapter beginning on page 99. But I thought what we would do tonight is Greg is a friend of theirs and associate, and I'm going to turn it over to Greg. He's going to just do a brief intro for Larry and Gerry, talk a little bit about the books and do a little Q&A. And for those of you who want to submit questions, you just hit the chat box and hopefully we'll get to some of those later on the program. So take it away, Greg. Well,
great, and thank you. And to start, if we could all thank you for hosting this event this evening. And I really just want to emphasize the importance of supporting small businesses and the little guys out there that really need the help. So anything that anyone can do at this point, maybe purchasing an extra copy of the book, telling your friends about it. Walter has extra copies on hand at the store. These are phenomenal books. We're going to talk about them, but really, they could use your support, and it would be greatly, greatly appreciated. So without further ado, let me make the introductions here. First with Gerry. Gerry Cooney's a one of the greatest boxers. He emerged as the #1 contender for heavyweight championship of the world. He's currently ranked number 53 all time on Ring Magazine's 100 greatest punchers of all time. And Larry will tell you firsthand, he has a punch like nobody else. Gerry, all-time great champion Larry Holmes, what was considered one of the not only most anticipated and memorable fights at the time, but also one of the highest rated fights and pay-per-view events at the time. Gerry also is host of At the Fights on Sirius XM Radio with Randy the Commissioner Gordon on Mondays and Fridays. It's a phenomenal show. I would suggest listening to it. It's great. It's funny. Talks about a lot of topics in the fight game, and make sure to listen. Larry is an absolute boxing legend, often ranked by boxing historians as one of the best fighters ever to lace up the gloves. He held the heavyweight title for nearly 8 years, during which time fans and reporters considered this the golden era of the sport. He fought his way to the pinnacle of success despite promoters, questionable officials, and some of the shark-infested waters of boxing with some of the movers and shakers that are out there. He fought not only Gerry, but Muhammad Ali, and we'll get into some of that a little bit later, but it's a pleasure to have both of you on for this evening's presentation. So
thank you.
First question would be for Larry. And Larry, the first question, how did you get involved in the fight game? How did you first get into boxing?
Well, I don't know how I really got involved in it, but I always been athletic inclined when I was a youngster growing up here in Easton on the south side. And and when you run out of things to do, you fight shadow boxing. And that's how I think I got into it. I got into it till the guy started taking us around to nightclubs, and we would fight for hot dogs and hamburgers when I was a kid. But I never knew I was going to stay in it. I didn't think I was going to continue to fight for all these years. And I never thought I would ever fight for the heavyweight championship or fight a guy like Gerry Cooney. I never thought that. But you know, with my determination and stuff like that, all of that stuff fell in place. And I was just so happy. I was just riding. I didn't care if I fought and won or lost. I was just riding because I was having a whole lot of fun boxing these guys and getting to meet Muhammad Ali and Joe Louis and all the other guys. I was happy, man.
You know, Larry also, let me tell you, he worked with Joe Frazier. He worked with Al. He worked with everybody. I mean, he had the greatest experience in the game. You know, Larry Holmes, you know, we don't talk about, he fought everybody. He didn't duck anybody in his day. He fought everybody and then some. And listen, I'm just so glad I got a chance to get in there with him. I'm still mad about that 13th round, I got to tell you.
Well, tell us a little bit about that, Gerry, about that night and everything leading up to that fight. Well, my son Austin's here, who, by the way, Gerry Cooney's Boxing Academy on Route 22 in Scotch Plains will be open after the first of the year. He's taking a little bit of a break right now, but tell us about leading up to that fight. Some of the fighters that you fought. I know there was a guy by the name of Ken Norton that Mike Tyson just talked about that he said he got knocked because his physique didn't compare to Norton's. What was that fight like?
Well, listen, you know, the fight game was a great fight game. I want to just tell you quickly, I'll get into that in a minute, but I first met Larry Holmes when I was like 22. I was a young kid. And he came to Gleason's, my gym, and he came in, you know, and he was the man. Larry was the man. So, you know, in boxing, you kind of play chess. Now, we didn't have no fight schedule or something, but I went up to Larry and said, Larry, hey, I'm Gerry Cooney. I'd love to work with you, son. Meanwhile, he was the baddest man on the planet. But you talk that way to each other, try and get the motivation to start going. So, yeah, I mean, I came up, I regret some of the things that happened to me. Don King owned all the heavyweights. I wouldn't sign with him. I had two crazy ass managers too that kind of kept me back and whatever the story is. And I didn't get the experience I need for a guy like Larry Holmes. Let me tell you something. In losing to Larry Holmes on June 11th, 1982, I learned more about boxing in that one 13-round fight than I ever did in my whole career in one night. I don't know why we didn't have a second rematch. It would have been great. In today's time, it would have been great. But listen, he's the great champion, top 2 or 3 in history. And I got a chance.
Anytime they paid me, we could have done it, Gerry. All I had to do was
Damn, what the hell, bro? Greg,
with the money.
Greg, get the money up. Get the money up, Greg.
Let's get that second fight going.
Come on.
Let's do it. Let's get that fight going.
Hey,
Yeah.
we can do it, Greg.
Tomorrow.
We can do it. But look what just happened the other day, you know, with these guys, with Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson, Roy Jones.
Gerry Cooney and I are better draws because we're better fighters.
I think it'll be great. That'd be great. Can you imagine that?
I already got permission from my wife to do it.
And listen, I also want to tell you guys about a great story about, listen, back in that time, they created a lot of atmosphere about black and white and racism and all that stuff. And you know, I thought it was Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes thought it was me. And so I'm really pissed off about it, you know, because I'm living the dream. I'm in Las Vegas. I'm eating lobster tail. I never had lobster tail before. Turtle soup. And I'm training for the heavyweight championship of the world. So I'm thinking it's him and he's thinking it's me. So we get into the middle of the ring that night. Mills Lane is giving us instructions. And Larry looks at me and says, hey, Gerry, let's have a good fight. Wow. It just totally couldn't believe it. That's what boxing is about. That kind of comments and those kind of situations where let's just go fight and see who's the best. And obviously that night he was the better man. And I'm so proud of getting the chance to be with him all those years.
And let me tell you, and Gerry is better. He's a better guy than a lot of people give him credit from. You know, a lot of people think Gerry ain't nothing. Gerry, hey, look, you don't know Gerry. I know Gerry. I fought Gerry, and he's a hell of a man. And I tell you, anytime you need a friend, you need to get a friend like Gerry, because I'm happy that I got a friend like Gerry Cooney.
Thank you, Larry.
Yeah, and I'm going to share one quick story, but one highlight for me personally, and being friends to both of you. And I mean, you can't ask for any more stand-up gentlemen than these two. The things that they've given back to people, to the underprivileged. Gerry's got an event coming up in June of next year. Unfortunately, due to COVID, it had to be pushed back. But we were in Vegas, and I can't believe it. It's already 3 years now. We were attending a dinner for some VIP clients at Caesar's Palace.
Wow.
I think, Larry, that may have been the first time you were back there since the fight. Was it not?
No, I was back a few times.
Okay.
You know how it is.
So when the doors opened to the casino, I brought them in. We had taken a limo over. It was like the old E.F. Hutton commercial. The doors open, they get out of the limousine, and everybody in the place just stopped. The whole place, like royalty had walked in the room. like as it did. And then we proceeded to walk through, and it was just an amazing evening, and of which the participants, the people that took part in that dinner, are still talking about. So it was just phenomenal, and a great memory. So
Listen, Greg, listen. So you got to understand, when you talk to fighters, we can't remember. We can't remember that much.
Hey, speak for yourself, Gerry.
yeah, and I'm not going to remind you either about that 100 you loaned me either, Gerry.
What?
So, Larry, question for you. With regards to the fight the other night, someone had a question in terms of Mike Tyson. And I know at one point last summer, someone had brought up a rematch with Tyson. If it had happened sooner, how would you handle fighting him now? And, if you had the opportunity again, and
Well,
obviously.
First thing I want to do is to get in shape. Last time I was not in shape. I had a couple of weeks training, mess around with the boxing after I had retired. And then first thing I want to do is box somebody so that I can get myself, my time and stuff together, and ask Gerry to come down and help me out. Because if you don't work out with Gerry, if you don't get it together with Gerry, you're not going to get it together with nobody, because he punches hard and everything else. But I will ask Gerry to come down and work with me and help me out, help me get ready so that I can do what I needed to do last time I fought Mike Tyson.
That's a story too. See what Larry said. They didn't give him that much time to train for Mike Tyson, because that's the boxing game. They want to keep you short-sighted so you don't get that experience. You don't get in the best shape you can be in, which gives the other opportunity for the other guy to a bigger chance to win. That's the fight game, unfortunately.
Well, they always want to catch you off guard so that they can take that spot that you have. But it's okay, I'm still happy and living a life of rowdy and hanging out with my buddy Gerry every chance we get.
Are you kidding, man? You were the man for 7.5, 8 years. You were the heavyweight champion of the world.
No recognition when you were around.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question in the comments is for Gerry. Looking back on the fight with Larry, what would you have done differently? And what fighters in the heavyweight division most impressed you today?
Well, that's a great question, but I don't want to answer it, okay? Oh, that's good. Anyway, listen, Larry Holmes had the greatest jab. He was smart. He was patient. He waited. He dropped me in the second round. It was like I got dropped on the knee. I said, what the hell? Well, how did I get there? I got up and fought back. But he was patient. He went back to the court and they said, why didn't you knock him out? He said, I got plenty of time. This guy is a big puncher. And he was waiting and he watched and he paid attention. And so I learned a lot during that fight. I would have got to the body a little bit more often, stayed inside a little bit more, and get him to drop them hands. It wouldn't have been an easy task. And I don't think still today it will be an easy task. But listen, you got to fight harder. I didn't have the experience back in those days. I needed 5 or 6 or 7 more fights to have the experience to get in a ring with a guy like that.
I would have been an old ass man, Gerry. Like he's really I'd have been old.
Yeah. And so those kinds of things, I needed more experience. I needed to be more confident about my going the distance, because I knocked everybody out. Where I needed to go in fights where I went 10 rounds, I went 10 rounds, so I could feel the confidence of that. I didn't have that. But that being said, I still went out there with Larry and we fought our asses off back and forth. It was great.
Yeah, got that right there.
And
listen, let's don't do that. Let's don't do it again either. I don't think money they give us.
That's that one.
and the rest of the question is that you're talking about is about the heavyweight division today. It's pretty exciting. I mean, you saw Mike Tyson. He looks like the little man in there now. You got guys like Deontay Wilder, who's 6'7", Tyson Fury's 6'9". You got Anthony Joshua, Joe Joyce. You got all these great big guys that are like, I don't know what the heck they're putting in the milk, but they are so big. They're 250 pounds plus. So the game is changing. But I want to just say something for 10 years, the boxing was at a really low. Now it's so good. If you get a chance, put on Boxing Scene on your computer page and follow some of the stories. And we got some great fighters going on out there.
We have a question from Mike Dempsey. The question is for Gerry.
Stop ducking me, bro. Stop ducking me.
That's the question.
Mike writes, how do you prepare for this heavyweight phenom, Baby Jack Dempsey, for your YCS fight night next June 5th in Hoboken? This Baby Jack guy looks tough.
Well, he is tough. He's tough, but I forgot what he didn't learn yet, and I got what you call a can of whoop ass here. And Larry's going to probably be in my corner. Larry, I'm fighting this guy Dempsey over here in June in Hoboken. Larry comes every year, comes down to watch the fights, and Dempsey's been traveling around the country working out with Tarver and Mickey Ward, all those guys who are teaching him all these skills. But you know what I got? John Henry, bro. John Henry never goes away, Larry.
That's right. That's right. Larry, let's talk a little bit about the book because we haven't really covered very much on the book. What went into the process of writing this book? Because I know you had written a previous one. So give us a couple of insights with regards to this latest book, because I know it came out more recently than Gerry's. Gerry's came out last summer. So
I think I wanted to try to keep it with Gerry, but it's kind of hard, That's why I wanted to write a book. I wanted to write a good book. I wanted to be able to curse in the book. I wanted to be able to tell people where to go and how I done it, and that would help me out a little bit, or maybe even hurt me because I might say something that I shouldn't say, So, but writing the book was fun. I had a lot of fun. I like the guy who wrote the Armstrong. He wrote the book. He was really good, and we're going to keep right on going. And we hope that somebody takes a good look at it, and we can get a movie out of it. And Gerry had to play Gerry. And had to play Larry.
Yeah, I think there's I think there's absolutely a movie there. It's a great book. So I don't see any reason why not. So this question's for me, and I've asked it before, but any memories or things that come to mind with regards to the great Muhammad Ali?
I feel sorry for what happened because I died so young. He was one of the greatest fighters of all time in my book, and could be even greater than me. And that's kind of hard for me to say, but the man was great. You can't take it away. I mean, everywhere you go, people say Ali, everywhere. He was the man. And I admired him, and I loved him. And I took punches from him just to make him a better fighter. When we went to the Philippines and when we fought him in Manila and put on exhibitions and stuff like that. Ali had it. He had it real down. He had to know what to do. Real a man, and he was good at reeling a man. And I miss him. I talk about him all the time, even though he's not here.
We all miss him. We all miss him because someone like that transcends the sports world and just all-time great person. So
listen, Greg, this is a story that in the smallest parts of Africa where there's mud walls, there's pictures of Muhammad Ali up there, and he spent the extra 5 minutes with everybody. He told me he would come out to my house in the Hamptons. He used to call my mother from time to time, tell her I was going to be okay. I watched him one time walking in the airport in New York. He had a glow about him, and he was a magic man. He really, he was just, he did this levitation joke, but he was just a fantastic. He kind of had this mental toughness in himself. He would talk you out of the fight. Him beating George Foreman that time was.
He was for 1 minute to get Ali to come to Easton, Pennsylvania. It's a small town. We didn't have 26,000 people in the city. And Muhammad Ali came here to Easton. You know how big I was when he left. I didn't know you know Muhammad. I said, yeah, I know him. I said, and we're going to go up to Deer Lake Camp tomorrow. We're all going to go up to Deer Lake to be with him, to see him. And he took us in, man, and fed us everything. He was a great man.
Larry,
by the way,
hold on a second, Greg. Larry, years ago, I met him at the UN building at a boxing convention, and I invited him. I had just bought this place in the Hamptons. I said, Muhammad, you got to come out to my house in the Hamptons. He said, all right, I will. And I wound up canceling it because I figured they're going to get 50 guys. What am I going to do with all? I was like 22 years old. What am I going to do with all these people? So I wound up canceling the trip for him. He could have walked around East Hampton with me. And I got scared at 22. And I said, let's not do it right now. You know what I mean? A big regret of mine.
Jerry, I could not stop smiling, being happy when Ali came in.
Yeah.
I could not. I mean,
Oh yeah.
people, I can walk water with Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
It's
He
great.
made you feel. He
The
made
sad
you.
thing was when I had to fight him. I didn't want to fight him, but you know what? They put the dollars up and told him he got to do it, and they'll right me or wrong if I didn't do it. So you do it, and I try my darndest not to hurt him.
Yeah, that's a famous shot that they show. You were pleading with the refs to end it and stop it. So I mean, that's pretty moving stuff there. So Gerry, we had a question come in, and by the way, people, feel free to continue with the questions. There's some great ones here. So one of the questions, Gerry, is how do you feel about Cosell creating the Rocky Balboa comparison and that whole Time magazine thing that took place back in the day? And how did you feel about that? Did you embrace it? Was it something that made you uncomfortable?
Listen, Howard Cosell was a very good friend of mine. I used to go out to his house on the east end of Long Island. I remember one night Larry Holmes had knocked out Leon Spinks. And so Howard Cosell figured, let's get Holmes and Cooney together. Now Larry was a little pissed off because it was his night, right? So he calls us over, and as he was trying to get to me, Holmes, he ripped off Howard Cosell's hair piece. It was unbelievable, bro. But it was such a great experience. And listen, I loved Howard Cosell. He told it like it was, and he said to me, he used to tell me, Gerry, I am ABC, and he was. And then he got old. He lost his wife. And something happened to him. I think he had some mini strokes and he wasn't the same anymore. Right, Larry?
He was great. I mean, I loved Howard Cosell. I don't care how he talked or what he said about me. He was another guy I brought down to Easton, man. I was bringing everybody down to Easton to make me feel good because they would introduce me, and Larry is a good guy, and people went crazy, man. And I loved it, and I miss those guys because they didn't have to do what they did, but they did. They were good guys because they don't know, but that was them giving back.
Yeah, but you know why that was, Larry, right? Because you're a good guy. You're a good guy.
Yeah, I try to be, Gerry.
Mm-hmm.
I try to be. I try to,
Except that night when we fought that night, you weren't such a good guy then.
Well, Gerry, I tried to be. I didn't want to hit you. Did you hear me say, don't take no more punches. Don't take no more punches.
Yeah. I must have heard that. I must have some wax in my ear. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Greg. I'm sorry.
No. And for anyone that hasn't had an opportunity to get down to Easton, it's a beautiful town, and there's a gorgeous statue of Larry in the downtown area, which my son here, Austin, who trains with Gerry, and again, Gerry's boxing academy will be back open after the first of the year in Scotch Plains. What did you think of the statue, Austin?
It's a beautiful piece for a legendary fighter who's easily a GOAT.
Yeah. So if you have a chance to get to Easton, a scenic area, but you'd have a chance to see an absolutely gorgeous piece of artwork and a lot of history, because that's obviously where Larry trained all these years for these fights.
Not all these years. I can't forget Bobby Gleason's gym, and that's what they beat me up with. Wendell Bailey and Jasper Evans and those guys, and Randy Newman. Those guys used to beat me up, man, when I come up there to work out. Every Saturday I did that.
That was the Gleason's gym, but that was uptown on what was it, 125th Street?
Yeah, 125th Street, Gerry.
See, I trained when it was on 30th Street. That's when I ran into you. But I remember the stories about you up there, Wendell Bailey, and all those tough ass guys learning how to fight.
Yeah, that was something. Those were the days.
I always like to ask you guys, anybody in the audience, I know Mr. Dempsey over there, one of Jack Dempsey's nephews, somebody, he wants to fight me. Does anybody else want to fight me or Larry? Well, we got a little time left. You know what I'm saying?
We got to do Mike Tyson fight if we do it.
Exhibition, right? There you
Yeah.
go. There you go. So, any questions from you guys there? You got some questions for us?
I have a question.
It's been a great ride. We've had a great life. I've had a terrific life. Larry's had even a way better life than me, and we're still living great. We are helping people, and we're living life.
You know what I noticed myself doing, Jerry? I never turned down people for autograph or pictures and stuff like that, because they are the people who made me, and making you, and making everybody who's successful in boxing. If you're not cocky, then I ain't got time to sign no autograph. I got time for everybody who wants it, and I'm honored that people ask me for it. And I'm glad that we do what we're doing today, me and you, and we keep going. Jerry, it's been a pleasure, man, over the years.
Yes, it has.
To see you, to talk with you, and all of you guys. Hey, man, this is great. I love it. Don't stop.
That's right.
All right, go ahead, Austin, ask a question.
Okay, so I have a question for Gerry. What makes a good fighter?
Determination, a look in your eye. I can see a fighter that he's going to work it out. He's going to figure out how to get to this guy, how to make him how to make adjustments, how to get inside to land those shots, to take charge. There's a certain look in the guy's eyes, like magic. And you know, like I always tell people when they used to knock on my door in the dressing room and say, "Cooney, you're up next." You know, my life would kind of pass before me. And then when I got on my walk to the ring, halfway to the ring, you'd hear the crowd and you become kind of magical. Like you can perform at a higher level than you're really expected to be. And I think Larry could probably say the same thing. I don't know. How do you feel about that, Larry?
I'll tell you what, you got one more way to find out what kind of guy you fighting. By the way he take a punch. If he can take a punch, he can fight.
Right.
Because he won't have to take some punches with these guys that today. They're good fighters. And you know, it ain't like when me and you was fighting, Jerry, we had our hands full all the time. But today, these guys just have to have a good chin and have a lot of stamina and work at it. Work at
The
it.
will.
That's
That
it.
was what you had, was the will
The
to
will.
win.
That's it.
So this question's for both of you. Which boxing division do you believe is the most exciting now? And who are the most impressive fighters currently?
Well, I'm gonna say the little guys, you know, lightweights. You know, I guess that's when the people are picking the little guys. They fight their butt off, and so I got to say the little guys.
You know, I follow the game a little more. I'm on the radio, so I got to read about it all the time. Listen, you got the welterweights. You just saw Errol Spence and Danny Garcia fighting a terrific fight. You're going to hopefully see Terrence Crawford and Danny Garcia as a welterweight. You got the middleweights. You got great Charlo brothers. You got the light heavyweights. You got the guy by the name of Beterbiev against Bivol in the light heavyweight division. That's got 8 or 10 great fighters in that division. And like I was talking about before, the heavyweight division is back. I mean, I don't think they're as crisp fighters as when Larry and I was fighting, but they're good fighters. They're 6'6", 6'7", and they're big punchers. And listen, pay attention on your computer again. Put some boxing news on your stuff, following the fights, because they're that good now. They're back. They're back.
And the best place to listen to it and become educated is Jerry's program.
Well, I guess you got a good point there, Greg. You got a good point there.
Maybe a good point or two. So we're going to one last question for both of you. In your opinion, best trilogy of fights of all time: Ward Gotti, Ali Frazier, Bo Holyfield.
Bo Holyfield.
What do you think, Larry?
In between Bo and Holyfield.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I think Holyfield will win it.
no, they had a trilogy, but I mean, he's asking me which the best fight of all time: Frazier, Ali, Bo Holyfield.
Oh,
You know who the best fighter was, right?
you're Larry Holmes.
No, I know, but the best fight of those three was Holmes and Frazier. The trilogy. They had 3 fights.
Yeah.
That was an awesome, and they wound up ruining each other, right? You think, Larry?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many great fights out there today. And wow, it's a
Larry
great,
Holmes and Gerry Cooney was a good fight. Remember that?
oh, we had a great time, man. That was so much fun, bro. And I didn't even know how to fight then. I was just a tough guy. I didn't know how to fight then, but you showed me how to fight. That was
Yeah.
a great experience for
And
me.
now he beats up my 19-year-old who can't wait to get back in the gym.
Yeah, get down, give me 50, Greg. Get down. 50 push-ups. Stop playing with me.
So a couple of other key points. Larry and Gerry were kind enough to donate a boxing glove that they both signed. And we're going to let Pat and the owners of Bookends raffle that off to the participants in the call and who have purchased the book. So they'll notify you once we get done and we'll arrange to get that to you.
No
But
problem.
again, what's that?
And that's another story about Larry. I will send a box of gloves to him, and he always signs them, and he sends them back to me, and I get to give them out to different people. And so, Larry, today I donated a Holmes Cooney glove, so that
Okay.
they're going to auction it off, and whoever's going to pick the raffle ticket, they'll get it.
Did you leave me room to sign?
Well, you signed already. You
Oh,
sent
okay,
it to me.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go, Gerry.
And if anyone, aside from buying books, which obviously make a great gift, if anyone's looking for some great autographed memorabilia signed by Larry, please visit his website, which is Heart of a Legend. And he has a variety of different items, those that were added actually today, that you can purchase through his website, Heart of a Legend. As I mentioned earlier, coming up next June, Gerry has his charity coming up, his charity event.
Mike
where
Dempsey.
Mike Dempsey, who Mike is in need of a nap. He'll be getting a long one that day. But it should be a lot of fun. That's a great charity event
There's Larry Holmes. Look at Larry's got
in July, I believe. What's that? Yeah,
June.
in June. Yeah, June. Larry has his own event, which
That
will,
way they could get one of these pictures, these posters.
yeah, it's an amazing event for a great cause. And by then, hopefully we'll all be out of this COVID situation and you'll be able to hear these stories firsthand with both of these gentlemen in person. So I thank them both. Both of these guys, salt of the earth. They give back. They give of their time. They never turn anybody down for an autograph. And you're talking to two legends and two of the best. So I thank you.
Thank you.
Please support Bookends and your local businesses because they desperately need it, and buy the books. So that'll do it for the call. And again, they'll be in touch with regards to the signed boxing glove.
Thank you very much
Great,
for
thank
having
you.
me and Gerry on. I love being on with Gerry.
Me too,
Art.
buddy.
And
And I loved hosting.
Thank
So-
you, Greg.
Mike
Thanks,
Dempsey, you look
Larry.
great,
Thanks,
bro.
Gerry.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Nice job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Take care.
Larry. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks,
Thank
Gerry.
you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Patricia, thank you so much. We'll catch up with you soon.
Happy
Mike, I'm gonna give you a
holidays.
call. And you
I'm
too,
good.
guys. You
holidays.
too.
Thanks.
Yeah, come
Okay.
see us. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Larry and Diane. Thank you.
Okay. All right,
Bye-bye.
Gerry. Die.